So this is part two. Good morning, by the way, of the segment of Good Morning, having coffee with me, Professor Alex. I'm doing a second episode in one day, which typically I don't do. I'm just explaining that because you're seeing me wearing the same thing. But I have multiple hours of seminars coming up Monday and Tuesday, so I wanted to have the opportunity to get this information out. And one of the things I'm going to talk about, because I find it funny and I'm already laughing, is all these people on the right who think they're going to get a $5,000 check from DOGE. Now, let's explain that nonsense here for a second. Apparently, DOGE has found gajillions of dollars in fraud in 5 minutes. We all know it's bullshit. Now, with that in mind, right, and because all they're doing is all this fraud they're finding, yeah, some kid who's 19 years old, big balls, and the other group in their early 20s who have no background in forensic accounting have created code in 5 minutes that's able to find fraud. Yeah, whatever. Tell it to someone who doesn't have gray hair and hasn't been around the block. They're just firing people. That's all they're doing. They're shrinking the workforce. What does that do? That weakens the federal government. I have said from Trump's first term that all he wanted to do was shrink the federal government, say, voila, look how much money I saved, and dump everything on the states. Meantime, the states are trying to figure out where do we get the money for education? Where do we get the money for this? I don't know. Let's increase taxes. So expect your taxes to go up at the state level probably next year already with all the losses that are going to come. Which, by the way, this leads to more foreclosures, all these firings and everything else that decreases the value of homes. So the tax rate goes down. The tax rate goes down. There's just revenue that comes in. So keep all that in mind because I keep saying it's one vicious circle. But this Doge check, right? It started off with a post on social media, and I forgot who said, "I guess with all this money that Doge is finding in fraud, they're just going to issue a check, a refund, spread it out, right? Isn't that called spread the wealth? Isn't that exactly what the right hates? Entitlements, free money, socialism. Sounds to me like socialism. Sounds to me like Alaska. Alaska. Let's get into that for a second. I've written several blogs when it was the Biden administration. There were 18 states that opposed student loan forgiveness. And because, we're giving out free money. Now, do your research. Governor Pritzker does, from Illinois, does have a program where you have $40,000 or less in student loans. They will wipe it out if you buy a home. Now, before you start getting crazy thoughts on socialism on that, just like other states, especially now in this mobile society we live in, that they say, and he has other programs as well for first time home buyers, that if you move into town, they'll give you X amount down payment assistance, and you have to live there for whatever, X amount of time. We'll make up a date, 5 years, 10 years, whatever it is. Mathematically, I guess people don't understand that if you are there for 10 years and they gave you $10,000 or $20,000 in down payment assistance, or even wiped out your student loans, let's go as high as $40,000, they make that money back. It's really that simple. They actually make more than that back. So it's like a loan. If you think about it, oh, you're giving that guy 20,000, yeah, I'm going to get back 40 in return. That's all it is. But a reason I mentioned these 18 states that oppose student loans, and I said this was a horrible mistake financially, because think about it: if you have all these people who get that debt wiped out because they agreed to staying in that state, let's say for 10 years, and collecting now tax revenue from them, then that only helps the economy. But then you have Alaska, pretty close to socialism. Why? Well, last time I checked, every person in the household gets a check for $2,500 for doing absolutely nothing. Mm-hmm. No, it's true. Look it up. What they have is the Alaska Fund, which comes from all the companies are there, drilling and etc. And they have a fund where all that money goes for the residents, and then it gets split evenly with everybody. So if you have children, they get an extra check too. So family of five, that's 10 G's right through the door, $800 more a month on average that you're getting for doing nothing. So I always found it hypocritical that Alaska jumps on this bandwagon to prevent student loans because of entitlements and free money and socialism, and they've been doing the damn thing all along. That's the hypocrisy that I like to point out. But regardless of that, this DOGE check, I don't know how I've seen numbers as high as 8,000. I don't think people understand the math. Just do the math. It really turns out to be the price of a cup of coffee. But let's suppose it is true. Let's suppose you do get a $5,000 check from DOGE. Isn't that more government waste? And by the way, only the people who pay taxes are and pay into Social Security are getting that. What about the guy who died yesterday and they write out the check tomorrow? That guy doesn't get anything. That guy's been paying into Social Security for 50 years and then dies yesterday. He gets nothing. But then someone just started working yesterday and they get a check. Makes no sense. And isn't that more government waste anyway? Aren't we trying to save money? By the way, this fire in the workforce, look it up. I think it's like 1 or 2% of the total budget. So that's why there's going to be a disaster in the making. The Trump recession is what I'm going to call it. But besides the issue of socialism, how is that not waste? So you're saving money and then you get this check. You save the dollar and then you get that dollar and you send it right back out. That you should have just kept the dollar where it was. It would have saved everybody a lot of time. If it would have saved you time, it would have saved you money, energy, and resources. So now you're losing money, which is a ridiculous a thought that these people think they're going to get $5,000 check because that only adds to the government waste. But that's socialism. That's entitlement programs. See, Social Security, you do something. You get up, you go to work, you get paid a check. They take out X amount for your Social Security, and then you collect at the end, right? Kind of like a retirement account, let's say. What does this check do? What'd you get for doing this check? You did absolutely nothing. By the way, why would everybody get $5,000? Wouldn't the guy who works harder get paid more? So what about the guy who runs his own business and works 80 hours a week? That guy gets 5,000, but the person who works full time, part time gets 5,000 too. Or the person that's only been working for 1 year, let's say they're out of college, they get 5,000, but the person working for the last 60 years gets 5,000. It's ridiculous. And again, it's socialism. It's exactly socialism. It's exactly what the right is complaining about. And if you see their threads on Facebook, they're hilarious. Oh, the left is going to lose their mind when these $5,000 checks come in, or they're going to reject it. I don't know. Did you reject the Trump COVID checks? Because you should have, and you didn't. You cashed that money in with no problem in a hurry. Socialism. What's the difference now? There is no difference. The difference is the rationalization process because all they see is free money. Exactly what they've been criticizing the left on for years. You got Bernie and the Bernie bros. Their entitlements, free college, and you have morons like Ron DeSantis. I don't even know what he said. I'll just go back to the 80s and the Breakfast Club, underwater basket weaving, and now you guys want your student loans paid off. It's absurd. It's arguments based on no logic, no research. It's based nothing on stupidity and talking points, political talking points. They feed you what you want to hear through Fox, and then you go out and you regurgitate it. So all of you that are all excited that are on the right about getting these DOGE checks, you're being exactly what you claim the left is. So you should be returning those checks with the letter saying, no, thank you. I am a patriot. I'm a patriot. And I want those funds to be applied to the federal deficit because now patriots are saying they're willing to pay more. They're willing to pay more. Right. Is your income any higher? Because if I'm Elon Musk, I don't mind paying more for anything, but I'm not. So I do mind paying more for everything. It's not patriotic. It's called math. It's called the economy. Like they say, it's about the economy, stupid. James Carville. That's what it's about. It's about my personal economy. So you on the right, you're the ones that should be rejecting those checks. And the ones on the left should be accepting it. That's the reality. Other than that, you're a hypocrite and you might as well move to Alaska. Enjoy your coffee.